Most people don't need dozens of knives, but almost everyone benefits from owning the right types of knives. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 knives that I think every man should own based on real world usefulness, not hype or price. Now, these 5 categories cover everyday, work around the house, time outdoors, and I'll show examples that I personally own of each of these. And what actually works and why. And a quick shout out to Outdoor Analyst. His video on 10 knives that every man should own inspired me to think about what I saw as essentials. Make sure you check out his video after you're done watching mine. With that out of the way, let's jump right into it. The first category that I had that I think every man should own is a traditional pocket knife. Now, that could be a slip joint like the QSP Hedgehog or a backlock like I'll bring out my little set piece here. This is not a buck 110 or buck 112, but it's in a similar style to those. But a traditional backlock knife like that. There's also the Victorinox Swiss Army knife, which is a multi-tool, but it is also, most people would see it as a knife as well. And this one is a little bit more of a modern take, but still more of a traditional style, the Opinel number 6. So why do I think that this belongs in the group? The main reason is tradition and nostalgia. For a lot of people, this is the first knife that they ever own. A lot of people will get, like a buck or a similar style knife as a kid from, a grandparent or a parent or something like that. But also, these tend to be more socially acceptable and seen as less threatening, and they're really excellent for light everyday tasks. And they're just a cool option to have. So the traditional folder is my first category. Let's get these out of here. And I'm going to leave one in here just as the representative of the group. We'll pop that up there. So number 2 is a modern EDC sized folder. And for that, I have the Benchmade Mini Bugout, the Spyderco Sage 5, and the Kizer Drop Bear 2. And so these kind of run the gamut in price here. But why do I think these belong? The blade size and the lock type, you have a lot of variety in this. This is probably going to be most people's most used knife because it's one of the most convenient to carry. And there's just so many options. Now, you have to consider your laws and personal comfort when it comes to, your choice for these. But for most people, for those reasons, it's going to be their most carried knife. And this is just when people think of a pocket knife nowadays, this is what a lot of people think. And like I mentioned, so many options as far as lock, blade size, blade steels. There's just so many options here to not have one of these. So that is the modern EDC sized folder. And we will toss, let's go with the Kizer up there to represent that group. So our next category is a small EDC sized fixed blade. And for that, we have the ESEE Izula, the Rainier Fastpak, and the Smith & Sons Axiom. So even if you don't plan on carrying a fixed blade every day, which I do, I carry a fixed blade a lot more than I carry a folder. But even if you're not going to do that, a small blade can be one of the most useful knives that you own. They are going to be pretty much by default stronger than a folding knife just because they don't have that the pivot where you're going to have a point of potential breakage in the same way. Now, I don't recommend prying with a knife, and because I think it's pretty much never a good idea. But if you're going to pry with a knife, a fixed blade is going to be a better option for doing that. And the other thing is, if you're using it for something like hunting or something that's going to get it really messy, these are going to be so much easier to keep clean than a folding knife. And just like I said, I like the convenience of being able to carry on my belt as opposed to in my pocket. So that is another thing. If you want to carry on your belt, these are actually a better option to carry on your belt. But these are also just useful for around the house, everyday tasks as well. So a small EDC size fixed blade is going to be the third one that I have on the list. And I'm going to toss the Axiom up here for that one. Now, this category, the fourth category, is going to be kind of a niche category. But when you don't have the room in your pocket for a knife, because maybe you're carrying a lot of stuff or something, I like to be able to still have an option for a knife. And for that reason, I like having fifth pocket knives. So for that, we have the Spyderco Lil Native, the CIVIVI Baby Banter 2, Artisan Cutlery Cleo, and I also have a fixed blade option that will fit in your fifth pocket, and that is the Lothar Beaver. So, like I mentioned, this is kind of a niche category, but it is awesome to be able to just drop one of these in your fifth pocket and just go. Like, you don't have to worry about, making room with your phone or your keys or your wallet in your pocket if they're taking up too much space. You just drop these in your fifth pocket, and they're very capable. And all of these you can get a full 4-finger grip on, because that's something that's important to me. So you don't have to worry about babying these like they're a tiny knife or something. You can use these like an actual knife. And that's a big part of the reason that I picked these for, because they can be used with a full grip. And that is every single one of these too, as you can see. But fifth pocket knife, I think, is like, if it's not essential, it's darn near if you're really going to be carrying a knife regularly. So fifth pocket knife is the fourth category. Let's put the Cleo up there. And last but not least, we have a large fixed blade. Now, I have quite a few of these, so I'm actually going to move these up a little bit to make room for them. But we have the Cold Steel SRK, the Buck 119, and if you want to go really, really budget, we have Harbor Freight's knockoff of the Buck 119, and that is their Gordon 6-inch Bowie. So these are approximately 6-inch blades. So these are like my true like large options, but 6 inches might be too big for your uses. You might not really need a 6-inch blade. So dropping down to like, a 4.5-inch blade, that's still a larger fixed blade, but it will be more manageable for you. So I have some of those too. So I have the Cold Steel Master Hunter, and this is the 3V version. They also offer this in a San Mai VG10, I believe it is. And we also have the Gerber Strong Arm Camp. This is the 420HC model. I also have the Magna Cut model if you want an upgraded steel on that. And my budget option here is the Bucklight Max 2, and this is the large. There's also a small version as well. But the use cases for these, yard or property work. So if you're, you just need to cut a branch off or something, or wood processing. Now, most of these I wouldn't use for that. You could probably use the Master Hunter because it's a very, very tough steel, but the blade length isn't great for that. But you can see the SRK, it has some wear on the finish there, and that is because I have used this to baton a decent amount of firewood. And this thing has just taken the beating and kept on coming for it. So for batoning firewood, that's a good option. These can also be used for hunting and field processing. So especially your Bowie style blades or the clip point blades, whatever you want to call them. And, if you like a gut hook on the blade, the Buck here actually is a good option for that. Now, the funny thing about that gut hook, though, is, ostensibly it is for gutting deer or other game. But what I use it for, ironically enough, is we have rabbits and we feed them hay. And so when we get the hay bales, I use this to cut the twine on the hay bales because it is much easier to just flip that over, get it in under the twine and cut it that way than trying to, slip the whole blade under and cut it like that. So if you need something to cut twine on bales of hay, this is the knife for you. I absolutely love it for that. But a large fixed blade, I think everybody should have a large fixed blade. Now, how large of a fixed blade you think you need, that's kind of up to you, and you might, change your mind after you've used it for a while. But a large fixed blade will be the last one for me. So I will get these out of the way. So those are our 5 categories that I think every man should own. And those are a traditional folder, a modern folder, a EDC sized, small size fixed blade, a 5th pocket knife, and a large knife. Now, if you cover these 5 categories, I think you will be prepared for just about anything. You don't need every knife, you just need the right ones. But that being said, each of these categories can also have subcategories that might fit your more specific needs. So a lot of people could benefit from having more than 5 knives, but I think these are the 5s that every man should have. Now, if you found this helpful or interesting, make sure that you subscribe for more practical EDC content, and let me know down in the comments which category you think out of these is the most important. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.